Hi guys, Adam from Midwest Panel Builders, and we're in Utah doing our first plug-and-play installation on an RV7. So we're going to go ahead and give you an overview of what that looks like with our rack system, how the harness lays in, and at the end of this we'll have the final product with everything powered up. Okay, so here's our shelving or LRU rack system for this RV7. We've got it in two pieces, so the aft section up here where most of the avionics are going to be housed. Of course, we've got the center stack in here, and one thing that we're doing is we're making little adapter plates that locate these racks for, this is the GNX 375 for example, and then underneath we've got the GMA 245. So we made these little side plates that have the proper holes and everything drilled, so this can just be lined up with these brackets that you have to cut on the RV7 and then rivet it all together and then rivet it to the subframe. We have a doubler on the subframe as well, and of course it's going to help stiffen it for things like this AHRS over here, as well as the hole that you have to cut to pass through these racks for like the GNX or the GTN and such. We have that located already so that you have a template. And then we have all these rivet holes that go all the way around to help act as a doubler for the hole that you had just cut into the subframe. Over on the right side, you've got the GTR 20s that we've got stacked up, depending on whether you have one or two of them over there. And then as we go further back, we've got back here the GAD 29. We've got the VPX underneath over on the right side. On my side over here on the bottom, we've got the GEA 24. Most everything you can actually get at just by reaching underneath. So we try to design it to be as serviceable as possible given what we've got. When we ship these racks, they come with these bends that go up, and what this builder actually did ahead of time for us is made these angles. So he riveted to this rib here, and then he installed these nut plates and drilled some holes so that he could unscrew this and drop this out of here if he ever wanted to. So that'll be good for any future serviceability if necessary. But like I said, we've got this designed so that all the wiring you can get to. Things that are going to be screwed in on top have nut clips on them so that you can unscrew them from the bottom. You don't have to try to reach up with a wrench or anything. So we've tried to make that as easy as possible. So now what we're going to do is go ahead and start laying the harness in, get all that secured up throughout the aircraft, and then we're going to get the rest of the LRUs located and mounted, and then eventually get the panel installed. Okay, so we're on day 2 of our installation here, so let's go over what we did all of the first day. So we've got the harnessing installed on the rack. Of course, everything's hooked into the LRUs except for the ones that aren't in yet. We've got everything on the subframe done as well, all the LRUs back there, VPX, everything's all hooked up. And then the rack harness is separate from the rest of the airframe. So on the very back of the rack, you'll see we've got a bracket plate that we've mounted with a couple of nut plates to the rack, and those house the bulkhead connectors that we use that separate the rest of the airframe. So that way you can install this in sections and it's not unwieldy to try to install one continuous harness at the same time. Coming down through the center here, a couple of notes. One, the center holes, I do believe it calls to do it in the plans, but make sure that you open those up to 3/4 of an inch with the correct snap bushings. Otherwise it'll be too tight for any of the wiring that we need to get back there to go through. Also, this is something that quick builders won't be able to take advantage of, but if you're doing this from scratch, these conduits that run under the seat tracks are a great way to get wiring through the back of the aircraft. So definitely install those because it just makes it way more convenient than trying to go through the center tunnel or anything, or try to go through the sides or anything like that. So in the back section here, here's the wiring that comes on this side under the pilot side floor. So we've got obviously your pitch servo there. This wiring, we've got these clip mount zip ties that hold really well to the longerons. So we'll secure this wire down and cinch it with those. As we pass by ribs here, we've got those J-hook zip tie mounts that secure with a fastener. So we'll use a couple of those as we pass the ribs to secure the wire to those. Further back here, this builder is putting his magnetometer here. This connector you're also going to have to depin in addition to your pitch servo and your ELT connectors, and then repin that when you come back. Not every builder is going to mount their magnetometer here, So a lot of people end up putting these in the wings, but this, you know, could be a good spot as long as you don't have anything else going back here, anything aftermarket that would interfere with it. Further back, we've got here also your trim wiring, and then we've got also the taillight wiring. So now all we have left in this particular installation is to get the panel in. Probably not permanently yet, but at least get it in there, get the rest of the avionics put in. We're going to power everything up, make sure everything's working, do some tests on all of the products, and as long as everything's good, we'll be done. So one more note that I don't want to forget is in regards to the wing wiring. So the holes that they give you to run through the spar on the sides are pretty tight, and we're not sure that you can open those holes up. So be patient. Basically, it can happen. We've done it, obviously on this one, but it is a very tight fit. It's going to take some time to get it through, especially through the spar where you've got two holes, you know, only that far apart to get through. But it can be done without damaging anything. You do have to depin the wing connectors to make that happen. Obviously, you're not passing that whole bulkhead connector through, but that is the best route because it gives you a nice spot for the wings anyways, versus trying to route through, you know, the whole channeling of the underseat structure. Additionally, the pitch servo and the ELT, those connectors you're going to have to depin. Those are D-sub connectors, so you should have depinners for those anyways in your tool inventory. Whether you go under the seats like we did on this one, or you pick a different route for the wiring, it's not going to fit with a connector on no matter what. So depin those and then repin them back up. For our customers that we're doing these harnesses for, you're going to have a whole book of diagrams and paperwork so that you'll be able to do that easily. All right, so it's been a couple hours since our last update, and we've got everything running, and we're pretty much done here. So all we really did was put the panel in. We've got power and ground hooked up to the system. It's kind of a bit of a jumper for now since the engine's not on yet. So here we can see we've got the, it's a single display system. We do have a cutout for a second display should the owner ever decide to add a second one down the road. GNX 375, so this is what we would call a basic IFR system, GPS only. And this one's got a pair of GTR 20s behind the panel, so dual com, you know, basically all your other normal ancillaries of a G3X system, GAD27, GEA24, engine monitoring, all that stuff. This system here with the rack and all that stuff really saved a lot of time by not having to find places to locate these units, by not having to come up with mounting provisions and all that. It's all pre-done. So what the builder had to do to begin with was just install the rack itself. He had to put some nut plates in for some of the units and some nut plates into the aircraft to get the rack installed. And that's, you know, oversimplifying it a little bit, but that's pretty much it, honestly. If you have any questions about this system, anything that went into it, anything about how it works, please feel free to leave a comment or get a hold of us through our typical channels, you know, call or email us. If you'd like a quote on this, go to our website. We have a button that says get a quote and select Vans Aircraft, and you can get a quote for this system for your build as well. We have obviously the RV7 system. We've got the RV8 and the RV10 covered as well, and hope to soon have an RV14. So thanks for watching this video. We've got more content coming, not even necessarily the aircraft stuff, but some about how to use the avionics coming as well, which seem to be pretty popular. So make sure you subscribe and enable your notifications so that you can get alerted to our next video. We'll see you next time.